Bells, never here from Drake Queen Gaming, 70 miles toward the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with the Let's Play episode of Beasts of the Thorns. So let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Yeah, there we are. Okay, right there. Alright. Ostrom! 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 Everyone in the room was cheering the name of the winner, and it turned out to be Ostrom, who was seen toasting everyone, draining his hand in a single gulp, and then pouncing heavily on his glass on the table. Okay. There's another idiot challenging the president. Doesn't he know that the president can't get drunk at all?
It's just fun, right? After all, anyone would want to try to challenge a legend.
I think it's best for everyone to stop. The last time someone challenged Ostrom to an arm wrestle, they broke a bone outright.
Oh yes, I remember that time. The tragedy.
No sooner had Bjorn spoken than the sharp-eyed Ostrom spotted our group.
Well, if it isn't my favorite friends and my outstanding students. Don't just stand there, come on in.
I was embarrassed to feel the eyes of the entire room on us as Bjorn led us toward Ostrom, and a number of people around us high-fived Bjorn, who seemed to be a popular bear in the fraternity. Darwin looked at Bjorn with disdain.
There are two important announcements at today's party. Our 8th Hunt Squad had their best hunt on record. Thanks to them, we've got aquavit to drink today.
Ostrom raised another glass-filled cup, saluting the group of people at the other end of the room. They were shirtless, wearing only camouflage shorts, and their fur was covered in dust. The leader of the group was a rugged yellow fox, also raising a glass in response to Ostrom.
To them!
The crowd in the room roared and cheered loudly for the 8th team.
And then I'd like to introduce our newcomers, Amor of Wild Dry Fox, Chris of Gussie, and our mysterious unknown demon, Hess.
The crowd responded with cheers, but in a smaller and more hesitant voice, and with some murmurs.
Don't underestimate our apprentices. They may be new to the Outer Realms, but that's not what the resonance clock thinks. The three of them can resonate with each other, the rising stars of the future, the devil of all devils.
If my head were still here, I'd be red in the ears. I have never received such a compliment since I was born, and I'm even less sure that I can answer such expectations. The creatures got all excited and started asking questions about how we did it. Amor put on his accosting face and handled the enthusiastic questions fluently. And Chris was a little confused and tried to be polite. In the end, it was Darwin who came through for us. Hey, claws off! Don't scare the newcomers. No need to rush them into it right away. Yet some of the demons began to ask questions about my race, and it seems that they had expected to see a Dullahan.
There may have been some misunderstanding about Hess's race. He is not a Dullahan. What Malachite exactly is being investigated, I'm sure we'll have an answer soon.
Professor Malachite. A voice asking Ostrom to correct his wording. Surely only Lucas would dare to do that to Ostrom.
Ah, it's Senior Lucas, our legendary ranger.
Lucas winked at us, then smiled and struck up a conversation with Ostrom.
Ostrom, you talk too much. Don't you want to know the results of our last fight?
Lucas raised a big glass in his hand. The crowd was in a frenzy.
Ah, it's starting again. I guess it's a tie this time.
Wine isn't meant to be drunk like this. It's good wine this time. It's an insult to the brewer, a shameful waste. The hyena shook his head solemnly. Lucas then raised his glass and downed it in one gulp before showing the empty glass to Ostrom. Ostrom looked excited and grabbed a large glass of alcohol, handed it to him, and drank it down in one go. I'm thankful to Lucas for diverting the attention away from us. I'm not used to all the weird attention. I'm so relieved to see that the crowd is so focused on the two drinkers and no one is paying any attention to us. Darwin and Bjorn handed us 3 trays filled with bite-sized treats. The 3 of us thanked each other and then silently divided the food from my plate equally between Chris and Amor's. Wine, cuisine, all beyond my reach. Seems that foodless creatures are not so common. Even old-timers like Darwin make this mistake. I casually set the empty plate aside on the nearby table. Darwin took notice and struck up a conversation with me. So, you can't eat or drink anything? Ah, looks like it. What a pity. No offense. I have been offended. I looked at him speechlessly. He took out a small bottle and handed it to me. Do you want to sniff it? I opened the bottle as I was told, only to be greeted by the smell of herbs. I sniffed suspiciously, but nothing happened. The hyena looked at me suspiciously, and I returned the bottle to him. I don't know what it was, but it didn't work on me. All right, it looks like only alchemical elixirs can help you. That stuff is expensive. Though what I have isn't cheap either, he said, pulling out the bottle and inhaling the volatile gas, looking intoxicated and in a trance. This is not a forbidden drug or something like that, is it? While I was thinking that, suddenly a bear claw came down from the sky and thumped Darwin on the head.
Stop sniffing catnip, you've got work to do tonight. Don't you think it's embarrassing for a hyena to develop such feline habits?
Whatever, Darwin muttered indistinctly. Well, the president doesn't give me any serious tasks to do anyway. It's all trivial stuff. The hyena sighed mournfully.
He does as much work in an hour as you do in a day, and it's a waste of time to see you do it. To send you to do it.
But I'm the vice president. So he's not the secretary, but the vice president. As I was thinking this, Darwin downed his drink in one gulp. Suddenly, the skin inside his ears turned red quickly, and Bjorn disapproved as he watched Darwin finish his drink. Skillfully, Bjorn slipped his paw under Darwin's armpit, lifted him up, and hoisted him onto his shoulder. Turns out Darwin had already passed out from the alcohol.
Being able to get drunk so quickly is a talent. I'll carry him to the guest room on the third floor to lie down first. You guys are okay to stay by yourselves, right?
We nodded, truly a group of carefree individuals. I leaned against the wall and watched Lucas and Ostrom battle it out, only to see the empty cups pile up beside them. And the good demons look at them with respect and admiration. Instead of shouting and cheering, the two of them just tilted their necks and drank it all up without a single hesitation. Amor leaned his arm on my shoulder, chewing on his asparagus bacon quiche. This drinking capacity is just not fair, right? I laughed and pushed him off. Don't lean on me while eating. You're quite heavy.
With this alcohol concentration and intake, if we were humans, we'd have acute alcohol poisoning me rushed to the hospital by now.
Then he took a bite of the satay skewer, showing a face of utter approval.
I've never had such great food at a party.
The drinks, too. Their bartenders are really good.
If it weren't for Ostrom's little tricks, it would really be satisfying.
Chris sullenly sinks his teeth into the meat on the skewer and throws the bamboo skewer into the trash. Didn't you get a lot? Didn't he give you 2 very important books, which seems like a special courtesy? And who the hell is in that picture?
You should have guessed. My father.
But your last name isn't... Amor, I'm curious why the atmosphere between you two was so tense when you resonate. You look like you're about to fight. I interjected firmly into the conversation. Amor visibly clicked his tongue. Do you really have to ask? I'm in a good mood right now. You're not so naive as to think you can get away with this, are you?
He was jealous.
Amor unpleasantly poked Chris in the ribs with a clawed finger, causing Chris to spit out the drink he was drinking. Is that so? I'm just annoyed why you can do things that I can't. There's no reason for it.
I've known Hess longer, that's all. But Hess, do you know? He's been complaining to me in my mind a lot. Don't think you've won just because of this. And this makes absolutely no sense. He's been rambling on and on.
I can't control what's going on in my head.
So I'm not mad at you, but don't you owe me an apology?
Dream on.
At least do me a favor, okay?
Chris raised his glass with a hint of resignation and requested, somewhat reluctantly. Amor took the glass reluctantly and headed towards the barrel, but Amor couldn't get close. The badger by the barrel announced loudly that the aquavit had already been finished. The crowd let out a loud booze. Apparently very disappointed, Lucas announced with a smile as he stuck out his cat tongue and licked his paw.
Looks like it's a tie again. Kropotkin, next time you have your boys bring over some real stuff. We won't get drunk on this watered-down drink.
The Arctic fox called Kropotkin muttered indelicately, but a stronger drink might be hard to find. And the two men drank this bucket of almost watered-down ethanol without a blush, wondering what their livers were made of.
Do we have any other bars?
Our beloved president.
Our beloved president. Can you hardly bear to drink only yourself and leave the lovely members thirsty? Please spare them their beer. Well, but one day we'll have to decide. Ostrom raised his bubbling beer glass again. Cheers! Drink until you can't stand up, but our true thirst can only be quenched on the hunt. Save your thirst for then. We vow to hunt the sun and the moon.
The room was abuzz with excitement, and Ostrom was a natural leader with a knack for manipulating the emotions of the crowd. I shook my head and began to understand why Lucas had called him scary. Top-notch talent, brilliant planning skills, flawless leadership, sensational social skills, and a distinguished family background make him a rare talent in the human world. But it's a shame he's stuck in the outer world and can't do much about it. I saw Lucas walk up to Amor with 2 beers in each hand. He gave one to Amor and one to Chris. Whew, everyone's crazy about it. I thought you didn't like these occasions. I don't particularly enjoy it, but as an outsider, I still need to maintain my reputation. Fortunately, the juniors are all simple folks. As long as I provide them with good entertainment, they'll remember it fondly. Well, next time, please choose a different kind of entertainment, Senior. Our alcohol budget is a bit tight. Lucas slipped the last beer to the bear, who popped up to talk, obviously expecting Bjorn to lean in. Ostrom's gotten a lot of sponsorships, and the price of prickly birds has been pretty good lately. So your assets should have skyrocketed a lot, and I know that Ostrom has set up an investment for the fraternity, but so don't cry poor to me. Bjorn spat out his tongue and took a careful swig of his beer, yet his face was still covered in beer foam mustache. I don't know about the assets or anything, except that Darwin often complains that we party too hard. Poor kid. He's got a talent for management, but he's nothing next to Ostrom. Staying here as vice president won't help him. Lucas paused and then switched topics. So, how was your day at the Resonating Bell? Any discomfort? It was uncomfortable from start to finish. That place is not for people. The crowd nodded in agreement. But, Amor, you seem to be reacting particularly violently? I had some negative thoughts when I got close to the resonance bell. I don't really feel anything. Don't take it lightly. Resonance is not a stable thing, and everyone faces different situations. The ability to communicate with the resonance clock also acts as communication to oneself, which is very unfavorable to people in complex situations. It is important to follow the rules on how many times and for how long you can use it. I'd recommend that the resonance clock be sealed, as it could become a weapon of world destruction. Lucas, you're exaggerating. The bell's area of influence is so small. It can't possibly do anything, and there's no way the school board would allow the big game to go down. No resonating bell, no big game. You know there's this thing called radio now, right? That's not traditional. Alright, anyway, keep an eye out on the newcomers and don't let them mess up. I'm looking at them both innocently. We haven't done anything yet. Then Lucas lowered his voice and asked Bjorn, have you heard anything from Virkalakas? Give me a break, Mr. Lucas. I wouldn't dare pry into their affairs. Lucas smiled elegantly and dangerously slightly. I've heard that brown elves are good people who love gossipy news, and I know of one who is an avid fan of bears. I got it. We'll talk outside. Bjorn quickly pushed Lucas out. Lucas said Ostrom was quite skilled in dealing with people, and he wasn't bad himself. Amor took a sip of beer, then patted Chris on to get his attention. It turned out Ostrom had noticed Lucas leaving and was now walking over to our side. I wondered what he was up to. I wasn't planning on forgiving him yet. How was your night? Well, it was okay, we responded to him in vague tone. I'm really sorry. Ostrom suddenly apologized loudly. I felt some concerned glances from around us, and we were at a loss for words. Amor gave his signature skeptical look, and Chris looked a little flustered. What are you doing, Mr. Ostrom? I came on a little strong and convinced you to join the fraternity, and I've been reflecting on that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. I got to get ready for work. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!